happy first day of spring, everybody. Eid Shoma Mubarak to all of my Persian brothers and sisters out in the world. And with that, welcome to Her Vision, Her Voice, a show where we celebrate the bold and powerful voices of women who are redefining the music and film industries. I'm your host, Natalie Qasabian, and in each episode, we'll dive into conversations with trailblazers who have turned obstacles into opportunities, using their vision to amplify their voices and inspire change. Today, I will be joined by film producer Natalie Qasabian in the second hour of the show. Natalie is a Los Angeles-based film producer known for bold, genre-driven storytelling across independent and studio films. She broke out at the Sundance Film Festival with the thriller Searching, which was acquired by Sony Pictures and went on to gross more than $75 million worldwide. She later produced its sequel, Missing, which earned $50 million at the box office and eventually hit number one globally on Netflix. Her credits also include Duck Butter, all about Nina, the Persian version, and the psychological thriller Run, starring Sarah Paulson. She's currently producing the upcoming thriller Doppelganger with director Anish Chaganty for Paramount Pictures, and I'm really excited to have her here today to talk about her journey as a producer and the incredible stories she's helped bring to the screen. But before we get to my interview with Natalie, let's start off the hour with a curated soundtrack to set the tone. Stay close. This is Her Vision, Her Voice.
As the day fades Si no te puedo, si no te horas hablando, contándome todos tus sueños. Oro para que se te cumplan, ya que no estoy a tu lado, te mando el deseo. Y si me preguntan a mí cómo es que te conocí, diría que hasta mi raíz sentí que tú eras pa' mí. Y cada historia tiene su fin, aún en las buenas hay que decir, solo queda una canción, una oda más. Si es la última y te bailémosla. Soy una oda de caricias, todas las que me entregabas en lágrima o risa. Dentro de mí no hay amargura o remordimiento, el dolor da cabida a ternura. Me siento tierna. Y si me preguntan a mí cómo es que te conocí, diría que hasta mi raíz sentí que tú eras pa' mí. Y cada historia tiene su fin, aún en las buenas hay que decir, solo queda una canción, una oda más. Si es la última y te nació, bailémosla. Solo queda una más, solo queda una más, una oda para esta es la última, una oda para it'll be alright. You are the only one I can fool this with in this world, in this world, in this world. Your ketamine is where light disappears. Keep fooling, pulling, drooling, pulling my tongue until I am you. I circle you in cerulean blue in this underworld, I visualized fire, a bloom of desire, hurricanes burning, flash flares dying as you. leave her. I want you, fever. Pick up and leave her. I want you, fever. Pick up and leave her. I want you, fever. Pick up and leave her. I want you, fever. Pick up and leave her. I want you, fever. Take it apart and tear it to shreds. I'm right on it. You can't play it off, you can't play pretend. I'm right on it. Really can't believe she doesn't feel it. Even I can see that you don't mean it. Everybody knows that this is going down. We're the talk of the town. Locked and loaded, I'm your bullet. Pull the trigger, don't be shy. Let her down, it'll feel good. I'm right on it. Just be honest. Pick up and leave her. I want you, fever. Pick up and leave her. I want you, fever. Pick up and leave her. I want you, fever. Pick up and leave her. I want you, fever. Pick up and leave her. I want you, fever. Pick up and leave her. I want you, fever. Pick up and leave her. I want you, fever. Pick up and leave her. I want you, fever. There's a woman, she fails in every time. She can come down, she lives to be declined. There's a woman, she's every fantasy and no reality in one. There's some gravity pulling her essence down. There's a remedy for the motherfuckers around. There's a woman, she's every fantasy.
You are
see circling through the town returns from two. The symbol of your love is time. The symbol of your love is Do you know that smile always makes me well? Do you see circling through the town returns from two? Do you know that smile always makes me well? Do you see circling through the town returns from two? Moonlight, cold breeze, you never come to find me. You just need a release. Hope you're feeling much better. Well, now you left it all for me to change. Wanna see the unique? Sometimes I'm caught in rewind. My I'm trying to really think about it. Doesn't matter who you are, I never wanna say you're just really all the same. Beginning of everything ever wrong with us, you never wanna hear. They told you how to be, and you wanted to belong. No exceptions, no. Now it's me and the moon. She knows that when I'm feeling empty like the earth, whispering softly words of sanity. It's entirely yours to belong where you feel behind the beneath. If you've seen it all before, there's a reason. But you know, what do I write to get you back to the sender? You know it's not right. beginning of everything ever wrong with us. You never wanna hear. They told you how to be, and you wanted to belong. No exception.
All right, if you're just tuning in, this is Her Vision, Her Voice. I'm your host, Natalie Qasabian, and I'm very happy to announce that Natalie Qasabian is joining me in the studio. Natalie, how are you doing?
Hello, I'm so good.
You're so
excited
good
to be here.
I know we were just talking off air, but I'm so happy that you're here, and thank you again so much for doing this. I want to start off with the beginnings of your career, and I want to start off talking about, you know, the fact that you've produced both independent films and studio, like major studio releases. And I want you to think back on the beginning of your career and walk me through what ultimately made you decide to want to even be a producer. Like, was there a moment? Was there something that happened that made you feel like producing was your role?
Yeah, I mean, I think it kind of chose me in a lot of ways. Like, I've been wanting to be a filmmaker since I was 10 years old. I'm Armenian American, don't have any family in the business, didn't really see it growing up from the business side. But I asked my dad for a video camera when I was 10, and I just started shooting shorts and little like animated things at home, like stop motion animation, and just really fell in love with it. And then I went to high school in Burbank, California, Providence High School, and they had a media focus program, which was incredible because, you know, you're 14 and you're getting to make like films. Basically each year your elective was something film or media related. And so at 14, I was like basically doing what you do when you get to USC, like your first semester, and, you know, rotating crew positions on these like short films. And no matter what I did, whether it was like I was writing or directing or the editor, I always also was the producer, not by choice, but it was like put on me, and I just like embraced that role so well.
Interesting.
So I went through all of high school kind of always producing whatever I was working on. And then it was when I got to USC, and I think two key things happened, USC Film School. I looked around and really everybody wanted to be a writer and director. And so, and this is very producerial, but my mind was like, maybe I'll get a job if I'm trying to produce, because there's all these directors that'll need producers. And then the second thing was just like really learning how creative producing was. Like USC really teaches creative producing, and not just the producer is the person that's in charge of the money or finds the money or, you know, the logistics. And I think that those two things just kind of were like eureka moment. Like this is what you're doing.
Yeah. Wow. Well, that feels so, there's such a flow there, I feel like, from such an early age where you had a very clear understanding of like, I love films, this is what I want to do. And then somehow in high school, your friends just seemed to immediately understand that you just had that sort of presence, you know, to give you that role, which is so incredible. And then to, you know, be in USC and to have this better understanding of like, it's not just finances, there's so much more to it, which is my next question, because I feel like maybe some people don't really understand what the role of a producer could be. So in your perspective, how would you describe the role of producer? And then how do you think your influence really shows up in the filmmaking process?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question. It's like somewhat nebulous. It's hard to describe, but I always like to explain it like in relation to the director, because the director is the person with like the sharpest focus on the creative, on, you know, where the camera is, what the actors are doing, and they're hyper focused on that. And then the producer is very close to the director, but is the person that has to have kind of like the macro kind of POV over everything. And just like more practically speaking, like you're doing so many things, like you're truly like everywhere in everything all at once. Shout out to
like the movie,
that awesome movie. You know, you're hiring all the key people, you're overseeing the budget, you're overseeing the schedule, you are making sure everyone is moving together, and the most important thing is you're doing all that in service of the story. Like every decision you're overseeing or making, it's are we doing this the right way to tell the best story, and is it fulfilling what the director's trying to do with this story? And so it's really fun because you're wearing so many hats, and like the scale of things you can like go through in one day, like the scale of emotions and like the challenges that'll come your way in one day, like it's awesome. It always keeps you on your toes, and that's what I love about it.
Did you jump into producing for feature films immediately after school, or was there a phase after school where you were working on different projects and just trying to keep things going?
Yeah, definitely a phase. I wasn't quite sure like how I was going to break in. I mean, I knew I wanted to produce. No one's hiring a creative producer on feature films at 22. Like you're just not. So the way kind of in I had was through physical production. I'd interned a bunch while I was at school, and straight out of school, I got a call on my graduation day from my internship supervisor, and he was like, "Hey, what are you doing Monday?" And I was like, "Well, I graduated, so I can't really like, work here anymore unless." And he was like, "You're hired. I'll pay you. Come in." And that was at a company called City Room Creative that was doing documentaries at the time. They did Jiro Dreams of Sushi, which is like,
oh, love that,
best docs
yeah,
ever.
Absolutely.
And yeah, they were looking for an office PA. So I'm like doing, paperwork and doing whatever needs to be done. But I took that job and basically pivoted to another production company and really like worked my way up from the physical side of producing. So it's like, from PA to production coordinator to UPM to line producer, which is like the person that's very much deep into scheduling and budgeting and hiring people. And then while I was line producing, which I did for a bunch of years, I was always like creative developing stuff on the side. And I never took the line producer credit. I would always try to like, hey, can I get co-producer? Can I get, anything else, just so that I wouldn't get kind of like pigeonholed. And then really made the jump kind of on Searching. I actually line produced Searching, but did so much more and was really lucky to work with people that recognized the more part and kind of gave me that credit bump, which was really meaningful.
Well, let's talk about the film Searching,
Sure.
which I feel like was probably your breakout moment because it premiered at Sundance Film Festival. And I'm wondering, when you think back on that experience producing that film, what do you think it takes to, really champion unconventional ideas? Like, how do you know when to champion unconventional ideas?
Yeah. Oh man, that's a great question. With Searching, it's funny when Sev and Anish, Sevahani and Anish Chaganti are the co-writers and Anish directed, of course, would pitch the story and like initially were pitching it to me. They were always approaching it as this is a classic thriller told in a very unconventional way. And so it always had that like component of there's something conventional, but we're going to put an unconventional twist on it. And I think like looking back, I think that's why it worked. Like it was. And the unconventional part is, of course, it's told on screens for people that don't know. So you're looking at a computer screen, webcam, web browsers, all that stuff. But yeah, so I think the approach is just like, it was, and it always is like story first. And I think on that one, it was like, what's the story? And the story was great. And that became like the vehicle to be able to like jump off and do something unconventional.
Yeah. And it felt very contemporary too. I think it's relatable in that way, even though it is this sort of unconventional idea and an unconventional way of viewing the film. I think the heart of it and the story, as you said, is incredibly relatable.
Totally.
So I feel like in that way, it may have made it even easier to produce it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Because it's like, what's the way in here? It's a story about a father looking for his missing daughter. And the way he does that, because she's a teenager, is he goes onto her computer to try to look for clues. And then here comes the unconventional part. And I think that because on Searching, no one had really done, there'd been movies done on screens before, but not quite the way we did in terms of the style. There was something really fun about, we were all kind of like figuring it out together, if that makes sense. Like everybody was like relearning their job, and there was no template for like how to do it. And our amazing editors, Will Merrick and Nick Johnson, who got directors of screen photography credit, a credit we literally made up because like, you didn't just edit this movie, you came up with a lot of this like language that we're using. We were all just like figuring it out together, and that was so fun, and that makes me excited to like chase chase unconventional ideas.
Was it ever scary in the process where, you're doing all these new things and you feel like you're learning or relearning the job that you thought you knew?
Yeah.
Was there ever any moments where you were scared to death or just, like rethinking or reevaluating your life or what you were doing?
For sure. Reevaluating life, not so much because there was no time. Like this movie was made, this movie was indie. Like it was $880,000, like hardcore indie.
Yeah.
So there was no time to like reevaluate from, that perspective. But yes, there were moments like, we were like, is this going to work? Like we were definitely second guessing it the whole way through. But I think that feeling also like made us constantly push it and push the style and push the energy. And yeah, absolutely. We were not sure by any means, but we had a hunch. And again, credit to Seven and Niche. We had a hunch that because the story, the script itself was so good and just relatable, and that it's a parent looking for their kid and that love and exploring the journey of their relationship, that we hoped it would work.
And how interesting too, right? When you feel like your back's against the wall and you feel like you're kind of, you don't have the answers, but somehow that makes you even more creative.
Totally.
And it somehow brings everybody together to make this thing come to life, no matter what it's going to take.
Yeah.
I find that fascinating. Before we talk about the sequel, which was missing, I'm curious to go back just a little bit. And
Sure.
I'm wondering if you know anybody or if you know any other producers who maybe had a different entryway into the industry. Like, is there this one set path to becoming a film producer, or are there people who maybe didn't go to school and they just did an internship and they somehow landed a job somewhere and then that ended up leading them to what they do now?
Yeah.
Do you know people like that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, there's no one way in, which is both exciting and I think like can be
a little bit
frustrating.
daunting. Yeah.
When you're trying to start out. I mean, the path that I was like trying to be on too, like I didn't bring it up earlier, but at one point in the like physical production journey, I was an assistant to a producer, and that is often, and it used to be more common. Like you go and you assist a producer, and you kind of like slowly climb the ranks under their, mentorship, and so you go from like being an assistant to maybe you get like an associate producer credit, and like there's definitely a ranking of credits, and that path still definitely exists. But I think that just especially with all the different like formats and mediums now, there's not like one way to break in. But yeah, I know lots of people that did the like assistant route, or I mean, some people work for years as like agents or managers and then make the switch. So
right.
Yeah, there's no blueprint for sure.
Well, let's talk about Missing, which was a sequel to Searching. Yeah. I'm curious to know, in your perspective, when you're starting a film from the ground up, and it's just you kind of have this idea that it's going to be that one movie. How would you compare it to then creating a sequel, which is this continuation of a story, or maybe working on franchises?
Yeah.
Like, what are some of the differences? What are some of the similarities of building an original film from the ground up, and then building a sequel from the ground up?
Great question. I mean, it's interesting with Missing because creatively, it's kind of a standalone sequel, so we don't follow the same characters from Searching. So in that way, it was like freeing because we weren't like chained to, okay, where are David and Margot, the two characters, where are they now? So that was very freeing, and it was like we want to create something that feels like a spiritual successor and preserves the like twists and turns and the style of the first movie. And we really had to sit down and go like, what made Searching work? What were those core things? And then, bring that over. So it was very fun because you have kind of a jumping off point and you kind of know what worked for the audience to some extent. But it was unlike, I think, maybe making a lot of sequels, in that the first movie, Searching, like I mentioned, was made as an indie. Mm-hmm. So, and we took it to Sundance. We made it for $880,000, went to Sundance, had an all-night bidding war, like crazy experience. And then we ultimately sold it to Sony. And so we got to go through the distribution and marketing process with Sony, but they weren't there from the get-go. So on Missing, we had them from the get-go. And that was really cool because, it was still a small movie, but it was not as indie and hardcore as the first one. So we had a little bit more resources, which can be freeing, of course. And then also we had just like a relationship with them now and a trust, which was really cool. And I think that's what's cool about making a sequel. Like you've all kind of done the first one and you're going into it without having to like necessarily prove certain things to your creative partners. And so there was a lot of trust and more resources, and we got to bring back a lot of the core team. You know, a lot of people that worked with Seven Eye for years on indie films was like, hey, we're doing a studio movie now. So that was incredibly fun and exciting and really rewarding, honestly.
Talk about you mentioned the bidding war that you were in with Searching and, you know, the distribution deal with Sony and everything. For people who don't really know what that process is like to take a film to a film festival and then ultimately to get a distribution partner, what is that like? How long can it take? Like what? Because it seems so mysterious, I think, from the outside. So what is that process like? Yeah,
I mean, so to run it back, like Searching was an indie movie which means we made it with no guarantee of distribution. So we're everybody is showing up to work. We're making something that we all believe in, but we have no idea if anyone's going to see it. Like there's no guarantee of theaters. There's no guarantee of streaming, nothing. And, you know, we had a financier and that's it. And so when we finished the film, we submitted to film festivals. And of course, Sundance is like the greatest, you know, film festival domestically, especially. And we got in, and that was like, that in and of itself, like what an achievement, like amazing moment. Just felt really gratifying too, to look at all of our teammates and be like, you know, we did it. And then you go to the film festival, and a lot of people will go to the festival again without a distributor. And the festival is also a marketplace. So you've got all the studios, you've got all the distributors coming down, and they're watching the films. And if they like something, they're throwing their, you know, name in the ring, so to speak. And so we had an amazing premiere. I think it was Sunday night. And I'll never forget, we went to like the after party, and some gentleman from Sony came up to us, to Sev, myself, and Anish. And they're like, we're going to buy your film tonight. And this was my first, Sev had been through it a few times. This was my and Anish's first experience. And we were like, oh yeah, okay, nice to meet you, cool. Like, had no idea what to make of it. Cut to like 5 minutes later, I'm like talking to my mom, introducing her to Deborah Messing, like having that awesome moment. And our sales agents on the film were like, we gotta go. And I'm like so disoriented. What is going on? We end up in a cabin, and we're there from like 10 p.m. till 5 a.m. meeting different distributors, hearing them pitch their like incredible ideas for how they would market the movie and like how many screens it's going to be on. Wow. And just like out of body experience
in the span of one night.
Yeah. Like it's so bizarre. It's so wacky. Surreal. But yeah, and then we ended up going with Sony, and, you know, after a few months of working on marketing and whatnot, they put the movie out. But yeah, oftentimes that's what Sundance can do for a film. Take something that had no guarantees of ever being seen and give it a huge platform, like a worldwide release. How did
you all ultimately decide that Sony was really the partner in that specific relationship? Because I feel like, you know, they're throwing all these marketing ideas out and all these other things to sort of, you know, reel you in. But what is it really that ultimately made you all feel like, okay, they actually get it, and this is the reason why we should go with them? Yeah, I think they got the story too, first and foremost, and they understood that, like, the way, going back to unconventional ideas, like it's visually it's unconventional, but they were like, this movie has a lot of heart. And we think it could play for a big audience. And so that was like, cool, check. And then, you know, candidly, marketing spend, like there was a nice number. And also they wanted it for worldwide release. And we were like, oh, hell yeah. Like they see that this is a story about a dad and a kid and a parent's love and how it has, you know, no bounds. And like this can play around the world. And so the fact that they saw that and were willing to put, you know, their weight behind it, just that was one of the deciding factors. I was having a conversation with a producer friend sometime last year, I want to say, or maybe the year before. And she was also describing the process of like sending your film out to a film festival. And I vaguely remember her mentioning something about how there are certain film festivals that you just would prefer to premiere your film at compared to, say, any other festival. Is there that sense of hierarchy in the industry where, like, Sundance Film Festival, for instance, takes sort of like the highest rung on the ladder compared to any other ones?
Yeah, I mean, I think just like the history that some of them have, I think Sundance is definitely feels like it's the one that everyone, you know, aspires to get into. And it's such a big marketplace. Although things have changed since streaming has come into play. But yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with how much the festivals are marketplaces versus like premiering films that already have distribution and using it as a platform to just like launch the film. So like definitely Sundance, Toronto is a huge one. But yeah, there's a little bit of a hierarchy, and it has to do with how much of the kind of from the business side, how many buyers are coming in versus just like marketing and promotional kind of aspirations.
Right. How many eyeballs are on the event and who's going to be there. And so you collaborate, obviously, very frequently with your husband and producing partner, Seb Ohanian. Shout out, Seb. And again, on all the success on Sinners. What do you think you've learned about that creative collaboration? Like, what has that partnership really taught you about working with someone else who's also a producer and bringing your heads together and being able to champion such amazing stories?
Yeah. Oh, I love that question. I think it's funny. We've worked together for so long. We work apart as well, of course. But like every time I think about our like collaboration and like what makes it so extra special, aside from like this is a job that's also our passion, and so it's really fun to go to work and do your passion and then like turn and have your partner in life there. I think that collaborating with like your significant other specifically, there's just such a safety, and I'm realizing that a lot of my best ideas, certainly I don't want to speak for him, but definitely as a writer, I think his best ideas are like come out of this safe place of like, I got your back, you got mine. And I've had the opposite where I'm working without him and there isn't necessarily that like 100% safety when you turn to your whoever your partner in it is. And I think that just like everybody creates better into their full potential if it's from a place of safety. So however you can create that. And for me, it's working with him. Yeah.
Environment is so incredibly important. Yeah. And when you have the people around you who not only get it, you know, just inherently understand why you're all doing what you're doing, but then you just energetically feel very safe with those people. And you feel like, you know, you can even have arguments with these people that are constructive. It's not just, you know, argument for the sake of argument. 100%. I think, like you said, that's really where the best ideas and the best work comes from. But I'm curious, when you are in situations where you're working with someone where there are some challenges coming up and maybe you don't necessarily feel as safe, how do you navigate that experience, and how do you still try to make your best work even when there is this sort of obstacle that comes up with either one individual or a group of individuals? Like how does that happen?
Yeah, I think it's just like when you have difficult personalities or you're just it's not 100% safe space for whatever reason. I feel like what you do as an individual, especially as a producer, as like, you know, you are leading to some extent, there's like all these layers you have to step through first. You have to really censor yourself, or you have to like worry about stepping on people's toes. And so I feel like it blocks, I'm trying to think of a specific example, but obviously it's hard to share.
Sure.
But yeah, I think it's about making space and bringing people in where you don't feel like you have to filter yourself creatively, at least, you know, obviously we should all be filtering ourselves,
of course,
to some extent. But creatively, you want to feel safe enough to like throw out the bad idea. Like we always do. Like we always when we're working on, you know, scripts or outlines, like we'll always go, this is the bad version. This is the bad idea. And I know that like when I'm with Sev and Anish or Will and Nick, like no one's gonna laugh at me. No one's gonna hold that, or no one's gonna hold that against me. Like no one's like taking notes and being like, she threw out like 6 bad ideas. Like, what is she doing here? Like, you just feel so much freer when you don't have that kind of fear that anyone's keeping track, you know?
I know we talked about championing unconventional ideas and you know, I think bold ideas are kind of in that world as well. Have there ever been instances where you've read a script, the story is incredible, but for whatever reason, maybe you feel that this film or this idea just it's not the right time for it. Have there been moments like that for you? Or if there haven't been, and if there will be in the future, how do you think you would navigate that?
Yeah.
Do you think there are actually instances where no matter if the idea is incredible, it just isn't the right time?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. We, there's a project that I'm so excited to make one day that Sev and Anish wrote. And it's I think it's the best thing they've ever written. I'm so excited for it, but I can't get into too many of the specifics, but because of the conditions around who we would have to put in the movie, it doesn't feel like it's maybe the right time just yet. And not just because of where the industry is, it's also a little bit about like where we are in our careers. So yeah, but again, what's exciting about producing is like we can change some of the circumstances around the project and what might get it to the point where it gets to be made, if that makes any sense.
No, totally.
But yeah, definitely there's things that you read sometimes and you're like, not yet, but I love you, I'm coming back to you.
Is there ever a moment though where it just feels like maybe it isn't for the zeitgeist yet?
Oh,
but I also I'm going to play devil's advocate with myself for a second, because I feel like film especially, and just art in general, is such a you can really change society, you can change culture, you can change how people perceive things with your ideas. So in a way, you know, when I ask that question of like, what if the idea is just not ready for the zeitgeist, is actually me kind of shooting myself in the foot, because I feel like it's not about fitting in to the zeitgeist, it's about changing the zeitgeist. But there are so many, I feel like the film industry can be so political, and you have to deal with so many different people, and there's always something that might get in the way. So has there ever been that for you?
Not necessarily, but I fully agree with you. But I do think, to your point, like films 100% like change the culture. Right. And so I think that like when I read something that feels like, whoa, like maybe people aren't ready for that yet, like that feels like, cool, chase it, push it, because that means that it's fresh, you know, and it hasn't been done before. But yeah, it can be scary for sure. And I think it's about like finding the right elements. Like back to like the unconventional pairing it with like conventional, it's like if you're gonna say something incredibly, you know, fresh or like woke or whatever, it's like, how are you packaging that? You know, thinking about like balancing it with enough elements where you still bring people in and give them something that they think they want, but then you kind of flip it on its head.
Well, I feel like that's where marketing can really come in a more creative way, and in a very empathetic sort of way as well, in the way that they approach how they market the film, you know, allowing people to really understand what the heart and soul of that film is in a way. But yeah, it's something that always has fascinated me, and something I always think about, because again, films are about changing culture and pushing boundaries. But then there are these instances where you're just like, oh, is this really the right time, or should we? Is it maybe too much? Exactly.
Too soon.
Which kind of, I think, segues into my next question about a film you worked on called The Persian Version, which is very culturally rooted, right? And I'm wondering how you approach telling these very culturally rooted stories in a way that not only feels authentic, but also something that, you know, broader audiences are able to connect to. Yeah,
totally. Yeah, it's funny. I think like anytime I read something that's specific, it kind of reinforces this idea that like, for some reason, the more specific you are, the more universal something becomes. And I don't know why. Like, that's such a contradiction. And I feel it in like working with Anish. Sev and I are Armenian American, Anish is Indian American, and like on paper, our cultures have nothing but differences, like the food, the language, everything. But when we're all together with our families too, I remember we were in Winnipeg shooting our movie Run, and it was Thanksgiving. We were shooting like through Thanksgiving, and so our families came out to spend Thanksgiving with us there. And I remember like looking around, being like, "Look at this! Like Sev's parents are from Iran, mine are from Australia via Jordan and Jerusalem, and Anish's parents are from India, and like we're all having American Thanksgiving in Canada." Like so bizarre, but like everyone's vibing and having a good time, and like the values and like the real important stuff is all the same. And so I bring that up just because like I'm like there's a reason we work with Anish, and we hit it off with him. And I think that like I'm blanking on your question. Where did this start?
the Persian version, yes. The film that you worked on, the fact that it's a very culturally rooted film,
yes.
And working on films like that to ensure that they are, authentic in the way that they're told, but also speak to a broader audience.
I think, yes, I realize where I was going now. Like the more, it's just the more specific and like truthful it is. And that movie is so truthful and specific to Mariam, the writer director's life and perspective, that it's like it's almost like undeniable when something's that truthful, because you're like it's so human and it's so funny and it's so truthful, and like of course people are going to relate if it's that honest. So I think it's always just if it's honest and comes from, and even if it's not a movie that about your culture specifically, but like if it's if it's just touching on it, if it's coming from a place of I think truth and like real experience, it comes out on the other side somehow.
That I think that's what the beauty of film is that it touches on that humanness. Everything else just feels surface level. Your religion, your sexual orientation, exactly. Where you're from, exactly. All of that just feels like a facade compared to, and this is to your point about how when something, even though it's very niche, it still somehow resonates the loudest with people. It's because it's just tapping into our shared humanness, those experiences that are just undeniable. Yep. It's across the board. No matter if you or I are here in LA or somebody is out in the other side of the planet, mm-hmm. There is still a shared connectivity in how we have, like even being born into this world is like completely non-consensual. Like we're just brought into this world. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And then we have these experiences that can be similar but different, and it all just ties into that shared humanness.
100%.
So
we're just all the same.
Exactly. And we're all trying to figure it out. Yeah. Let's talk about shift gears a little bit and talk about this conversation that I think has been around in the film industry for quite some time about access to the industry and representation in the industry. And I want to know from your perspective as a producer, where have we done things right and where has there been progress, and where do we still need to put in the work and make sure that changes are happening?
Yeah. I mean, that's a big one.
It's a big one. Yeah.
I mean, there's definitely been change, even since like when I started, 10, 12 years ago. We're definitely seeing, I think, more stories from underrepresented communities and filmmakers, and definitely there's more films being directed by female filmmakers that are getting, I think, a bigger platform than, or even when I was a kid growing up. I don't know if I can name like a blockbuster movie when I was growing up that was directed by a woman. There's like art house movies.
Love and Basketball, but that's more indie, isn't it?
It's indie.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was indie.
Yeah.
Love that movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I watched that so many times.
Yeah.
And now that I'm older, I'm like, oh, it's probably because I was enjoying that it was from a female perspective.
Yeah.
But yeah, but it does feel like at the same time, kind of feels like 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Like it's not, I mean, the stats are like dismal when you look at, films being put out by female filmmakers and people of color. But at the same time, like we've seen that it works on a I mean, look at Wuthering Heights, look at Sinners, look at, Chloe Zhao's movie went all the way to the Oscars. Like, so there, it's there, but it's not enough. Like, it's still disproportionate. And I also think that, like, the way that we, like, judge movies or like critique movies, that are often like led by minorities or women is just different. Like, I mean, have you seen Wuthering Heights?
No, I haven't.
I loved it. It was so good.
Okay.
It's so good. I love Emerald Fennell. And I feel like the way that some people are like slamming the movie, I didn't look up, like, I don't look up anything when I go see the movie. I just like watched it, and I was like, I took my mom and my aunt. We had an amazing time. And then I was looking at the behind the scenes, reading all the reviews. It's like, what is going on? Like, why are we like the standard? I don't want to spoil it for you, but like the standard I feel like she's being held to as a filmmaker is not the same as like if it was a dude behind it.
I agree. And
it's like, come on, like, can we just, critique it, but like hold it to the same standards that you hold, I don't know, an action movie that's just an action movie for the sake of making that a thrill and fun,
Right.
This is a sweeping romance for the sake of that. Like, that's what it's going for. Anyway, so yeah, I always progress to be made, big progress. But I do, again, when I think about like when I was a little kid watching movies, like I don't think I could name a female filmmaker.
Yeah. The fact that you brought up Emerald Fennell and Wuthering Heights, it made me actually think about when I was in high school and Marie Antoinette had come out around that time, and
another one that
I can't remember. I absolutely adore that film, and when I saw it, I also saw it with my mom, and we both fell in love with it. But what I loved about it most, and what I think Wuthering Heights did, even though I haven't seen it, I've just watched some behind the scenes videos and things like that, just to kind of get an idea of what the film is like. But my understanding of Wuthering Heights and their approach to the film, which I think is similar to Marie Antoinette, is that it is a new sort of perspective and version of the story of Wuthering Heights. It's not by the book, it's their own interpretation of it.
Totally.
With music by Charlie XCX that doesn't obviously align with the time that story is told in, which Marie Antoinette also did brilliantly. And of course, because I was in high school at the time, I don't remember if there was criticism in that respect with Sofia Coppola's film Marie Antoinette. But I remember I was my history teacher at the time. She hated it, and she,
history teacher.
That makes sense. Exactly. And she hated it, and I was having this little argument with her one time, and I was like, why did you hate it? And she was like, well, the music just didn't make sense. And I was like, but that's the most brilliant part of the film, But I wonder if there is that sort of thing of like, even when female filmmakers or filmmakers of, color or people who are coming from a minority background who are taking these creative risks, if that's just like, again, it goes back to that, is this too soon? Is this too much? But it's like, screw you. This is our idea. We want to show this in a way that is coming from our perspective, And
if they don't do it, who is? Somebody's got to take the lead.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
It's fascinating. I love it, and I hate it. And
with Marie Antoinette,
You've obviously worked on independent productions. You've worked on major studio films. You've worked on with films that have come out on streaming platforms. How would you say how would you say the producing process changes depending on the type of project that you're working on, knowing that it's going to be, released theatrically, or knowing that it's only going to be released, on a streaming platform?
Totally. Yeah. It's funny. So Run, we shot that film, we made that film with Lionsgate, and then we sold to Hulu.
And that was with Sarah Paulson, correct?
With Sarah Paulson. That was because of the pandemic. So we actually set out, that was going to be a full theatrical release. It was going to come out on Mother's Day, a little like tongue-in-cheek marketing there. But so we didn't set out to do, so I've never done a feature from the get-go that I knew was going to be streaming. That's why I brought that up. But I will say that like from indie to studio, like definitely some differences, but like the core, your core like responsibilities as a producer stay the same, but like the environment changes. Like doing indies is just very, very, very hardcore. Like you have to get involved in things that you wouldn't otherwise when there's like money that you can throw at a problem. Like, I've been in some situations where I'm like, that would never happen on a studio movie, you know? So definitely I think people's bandwidth is different on indies. And even as a producer, like you're just, if there's no bandwidth for somebody to take something else on, that like flies to you. So you take it on. And then on the studio stuff, I feel like you're also there's now a studio and there's people giving you usually a lot more money. And so you're also managing that and making sure that like you guys, the filmmakers and the studio are aligned, because when you're not, then you're making a different movie. So like, I joke that like the higher the budget, the more like managing personalities I end up doing. So like on indies, there's like no time for that, you know,
Right.
You're just like in there making the thing. But like when there's a lot of money on the line, there's a lot, like the higher the budget, the more people there is assigned to your film.
Sure.
From the studio side.
Yeah.
Which means the more people the producer is communicating with.
Yeah.
But you know, as long as you're all making the same thing, it's great.
Yeah. There's just more on the line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
The film industry is certainly going through and has been going through, I think, this major shift, especially post-COVID, is it felt like a few years after COVID that, it would just all kind of get back into the swing of things and everybody would be fine. But that's clearly not the case for a lot of people. You know, these shifting theatrical models and the way that audiences' habits are changing, all of that is sort of at play. And I wonder, from your perspective, what about this time do you feels the most uncertain and what feels the most exciting?
Yeah. Ooh, another big one.
Another big
one. I definitely think when you, as a producer, like when something like I either read something or we're thinking of ideas for something, the thing that feels uncertain now is definitely this theatrical question. It's like, is it going to be like, where does this fit, kind of a thing? And like, I love movie theaters. Sev proposed to me in a movie theater. Like, it's literally like, it's church to me. So like, we always aspire to make something theatrical, but it's now a question mark, and you have to like prove that your project is theatrical. And that's important. You have to be asking yourself from the early stages if it's theatrical or not, because you need to be designing it to be theatrical. Because like, why should people come out of their house when they can, you know, it's expensive going to the movies. Like, why should people pay for a ticket when they can watch Netflix at home or Hulu or whatever? So you definitely have to be thinking of that. And I think that's, you know, it's sad because I think it's limiting the amount of voices and filmmakers, and emerging artists are not getting the same kind of direct to making a blockbuster path that you had even 10 years ago, 15 years ago. But, you know, this industry has been around for so long, and I don't like to be doom and gloom about it, because I'm like, people are never going to stop going to the movies. Like,
Right.
History has shown us, when you look, like, yes, movie going like ebbs and flows, and there's always some new technology. Like when TV first came out, everybody predicted the downfall of, like, theaters were going to become like the opera, like a niche kind of expensive thing that you go to rarely, and like that didn't happen. So I feel optimistic that like it's not going to go away, but I also think as a filmmaker, we have a responsibility to be like to fight and preserve for the theatrical experience specifically.
Yeah. I think, I mean, two examples of people who are doing that in a very sort of, you know, head-on way. Obviously, Quentin Tarantino with the Vista Theater, and Kristen Stewart, I think, is reviving the Highland Theater,
so
if I'm not mistaken, which is amazing. But do you think it's going to take that too, like more of that as well, just not only here, but across the country?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Like, we have to preserve. It makes me so sad every time I hear of a theater closing, like the ArcLight during COVID.
Right.
The ArcLight, you know, closed its doors, and that place was so special to so many people. But yeah, absolutely. It's going to take people like championing the experience and you know, putting money behind it to be candid, you know, and fighting for it. So yeah, absolutely.
Producing can oftentimes feel like this very sort of invisible job. And I wonder for you how you've learned to sustain your creativity over the years and stay connected to why you love making movies so much.
I mean, it's so basic, my answer, but it's like truly anytime I feel like stifled or like frustrated or stuck, it's like watching good stuff and reading good stuff too, but especially watching. It's like going back and like cleansing your palate, you know, so to speak, with like something really good that inspires you and going to the theater. I mean, like nothing beats that feeling of going, like when I walked out of Wuthering Heights, it's like you walk out and like the world has changed because you're on this like high of like it's like a sensory high and that feeling of like I hadn't made that connection before, like I hadn't thought of that like that, or I just hadn't felt that, you know, excited or like hyped about something, you know. So it's really just like going and watching something that makes me feel hyped.
It's as simple as that. Yeah. Oftentimes I think that's really what it takes, because you might get caught up in these moments of like frustration or creative block or something. And then you might see a film from 50 years ago or 30 years ago or something. And you're like, that's incredible. How do they do that? You know, totally. And it feels like something you've never seen before because the creativity was just off the charts and they just did what they wanted to do without this fear of what are people going to think? How is this going to be perceived? You know, so
big time.
Yeah.
I rewatched All the President's Men, which I hadn't seen. It's a film from the 70s. I hadn't seen it since like film school. And it's relevant to a movie we're hopefully going to shoot later this year. And I was like, these shots, and I kept going to Sev, have this shot, have you look at this is so good, like this clearly so and so like stole it from here, and it just makes you excited to go back to the drawing board.
I know that feeling. I was watching Days of Heaven the other night, and just I've always been a massive Terrence Malick fan. Like his movies I've watched since I was a kid, which I probably was way too young to watch, you know, in the same way that Darren Aronofsky's films were I was 18, I think, when I watched Requiem for a Dream, which I should not have done.
I think I was like 16 and was like, what the hell did I just watch?
That film is literally, it just like
seared in your
totally
mind.
It is embedded in my mind. It will be for the rest of my life. Anyway, I want us to end this conversation on a hopeful note. And I want us to talk about, you know, if there are producers out there, young producers out there who are thinking about having a life as a producer, having a career as a producer, and ensuring that there's going to be longevity and that there will be impact. You know, what is one mindset that you wish maybe you knew early on in your career, or something that you can impart on people who are listening right now?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, I think I've realized this going back, like reflecting back, but especially if you want to produce, I think it's so, like, you can look at the industry and go, God, there's so many like barriers to entry. Like, I don't know how I'm going to do this. I don't know people, or I don't have the resources. But like for producing especially, you really just have to start doing it. You really just have to start flexing that muscle. And I think don't wait for like the perfect opportunity, so to speak. Like for me, that job was working in docs, and like that first job that I got, I was not, I like documentaries, sure, but like they kind of hadn't had this like renaissance that they've had the past like decade. But like I went into that interview just because I needed the job, because my dad was like, if you're gonna like follow this pursuit of yours, like you got to start paying your own way. So my goal was just very straightforward, was like get the job. So like I went in there like documentaries are my thing. Like I am so passionate, and like I went and watched all the like Oscar nominated ones from the year before, and it was just like get the job. And so like I would just say get in, you know, don't worry about like that the dream project, like have that on the vision board 100%. Like I still got so many of them up on that board, you know, like you'll get there one day, but put your head down, start doing the work. And like this industry it runs on reputation. Like meet people, be kind, because like that's all that really like matters in this industry. Like working with good people, be a good person, and like you'll get there. But that's the way to like do it, is to have the longevity, and to get to where you want to do is just like jump in, you know.
And in practical terms, that would mean learn what you need to learn,
Yeah.
no matter the pathway, whether you decide you want to go to school or you want to, I don't know, watch videos online or, whatever the path
Yeah.
is. Reach out to people,
Yep.
introduce yourself, find out who's who,
Yep.
attend events,
Yeah.
right? Film festivals. Is that a worthy option?
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely meet people and offer up your services. Like,
Yeah.
but if you want to be a producer, say you're a producer, and go meet film students. If you didn't go to film school, no worries. Like, go crew on their stuff. Like, they'll always take a hand, and get on set, meet people, and you just have to be willing to like leave the ego at the door and like start. Everyone kind of starts at the bottom in this industry, like truly, and yeah, start working. And the jump in is, I would say, like, don't worry so much about like, oh, I don't want to be working. I don't want to produce commercials or music videos long term. Don't worry. Like, David Fincher started by directing commercials.
Yeah.
Like, everybody starts somewhere. So just, get your foot in a door, and then you can build the door that you want.
Do you think it's a good idea for young people who want to start off as producers for them to have maybe a sort of niche idea of the types of projects that they want to work on, or an idea of, what kind of producer they are in terms of like, these are the kinds of stories that I'm really interested in, or these are the directors that I am inspired by? Is that a sort of better way to go about it?
For sure. Always have a take. Always like know your taste. That's so important, and be able to talk about, what stories resonate with you and why. But I do think, like, in those early days, like, it's really about cementing yourself as like producing is very much to some degree, it's a nuts and bolts job. Like, you are the one responsible for delivering the final movie. So like, you got to prove that you can do that first before you can prove that, in my opinion, before you can prove that like you are this generation's greatest producerial voice because you champion so-and-so people. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
Do you know how to actually run the set, as a producer? Do you know how to actually deliver a movie? Do you know what the DCP is? Do you know how much that costs? Do you know what vendor, or if you don't know how to physically do it, do you know who you would hire to help you do those things? And I think that's like, that's why creative producing can be a bit more nebulous, but you are still, even as the creative producer, you are responsible for like the finished thing getting to the studio so that they can put it on, screens around the world. So it's learning how to do those things, and you don't need film school for it. You can just literally get on set and read and learn.
Yeah. It's just about reaching out to people and just stating,
Yeah.
this is who I am, this is what I want to do, and
Yeah.
is there an opportunity for me to, contribute in this
Or
sort
just
of
like,
way?
hey, you're a director. Do you need a producer?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
what are you shooting this week? You're an aspiring director. Great. I'm a producer.
Yeah, let's put our heads together.
Let's put our heads together.
Yeah.
Yeah. 100%.
I used to ask this question to every guest to close out the show, but then I was thinking about the question that I had originally, and I was like, I think I need to sort of have a refreshed version of what really the core of what that question was. And the question that I'm going to ask you now is, what do you hope? What kind of doors do you hope that your work ends up opening up for other people who are just starting out, who maybe feel a little bit discouraged, or who may not feel like there's a place for them in this industry? What kind of doors do you hope that opens?
I mean, it comes back to what we were talking about earlier. Like, I really want to see women tell their stories more. I have a toddler at home. There's a movie called If I Had Legs, I Could Kick You this year.
I
And
still need to see that.
it's so good. And I'm like, what? I was like mad. I was like, where are the stories about the moms, the ones that are not bad moms and like poking fun at like, we need our wine to survive. Like, I want more female-led stories. I want stories from underrepresented communities. I want to see more stories about Armenians on the big screen. And I'm going to do my part in that. But yeah, I hope that one day, if I'm so lucky to do this for a lot more years, that I'll look back, or if I meet one person that says, like, you inspired me to tell my story, and it was something that the world hadn't seen before, like that's, I think that's the dream.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Natalie, so much for doing this.
Thank you.
I'm so glad that we were able to connect, that we were able to make this happen, and thank you for making the time to be here.
No, thank you. I'm flattered, honored to be here. I love what you're doing.
I appreciate
Keep
you so
doing
much. You when you emailed me yesterday, I was like, you literally made my day when
Oh.
you said, I'm listening to, these episodes just to prepare. And thank you for what you're doing. That cannot tell you how much that meant to me. So thank you again.
Oh,
Seriously.
Thank you.
All right, guys, that does it for this month's episode of Her Vision or Her Voice. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I will be back for another episode next month on April 18th. If you want to know what music I played in the first hour of the show, make sure to check out the archived episode, which will be out early next week. Stay tuned for Beats of All Nations and more Double Up programming coming up next. I'm Natalie Qasabian. Have a great weekend, everybody.